Well, we can't wait all day for the stragglers to show up, of course. I did say that the training session would be starting at 1 o'clock Eastern, and it is just a couple minutes after now. And so I think we should get going. For the benefit of the people that actually show up on time, it's only fair that we get going. The people that show up later, well, they can just continue from wherever we are when they come in the room. What I wanted to go over today, especially, but actually, let me just remind you, these training sessions are always kind of ad hoc, or typically ad hoc, and kind of what I mean by that is the intent is to make sure that I cover material that relates to where you are with respect to using the software. And so if you have any issues that you want me to cover or need me to cover, then feel free to type it in at the bottom of the screen here, and I'll make sure that I go over whatever that issue is before the end of the training session. Typically, though, I also have my own agenda, my own thoughts about some of the things that are important to go over. And so one of the things that I was actually quite surprised earlier this week when I started bringing it up to ask if people knew that we could do that. How many people didn't know that we could do that? And so the two main areas that I want to cover today that I think are really key to message magic and what it is that you have is, for one thing, I believe that every Skype user on the planet ought to know about message magic and what it can do for them. These are people that they use Skype, and let's face it, more and more people use Skype nowadays. There's been a lot of support of Skype over the years, of course. When I first started Message Magic in 2008, there was about 300 million registered Skype accounts. Now it's quickly approaching 900 million registered accounts. That's a pretty significant growth curve, don't you think? And now that Microsoft has bought Skype for the ungodly amount of, insane amount, really, in my opinion, of $8.5 billion, which is the biggest purchase in their corporate history. That really underscores the importance of Skype in some respects. Most importantly, not only where they've been and how quickly they've grown to get to this 900 million users, but also where they're going. I think Microsoft, with their purchase, has every intention of incorporating Skype into their whole product line. Everything that they do will somehow have a relationship to Skype. And so that kind of underscores where Skype is going as well, in my view anyway. I think that the user base that we see right now is going to grow, and with that, what's going to happen is, as more and more people are using Skype, what that means is the Skype users have more and more personal contacts. That's pretty key to me anyway, because what happens is, as you grow your contact list, a very important part of that is the importance of you using what Skype calls categories, or at least they call them categories now. They used to call them groups. But imagine this. I mean, you have this Skype list and it's growing, and so part of those contacts, they might be family members. Some might be workmates, like your boss and coworkers, and so on. Others might be people that you know related to a particular topic, maybe in your job searching efforts. Maybe you're a contractor of sorts, and so you've got organizations that you work with. And so imagine your categories being divided into topics of interest. So friends might be a category that's a topic of interest. Your coworkers, the consulting functions that you perform. If you're a networker, perhaps they're related to a team that you're on or a company that you're involved with. So you can imagine that this list would actually get quite big. Well, if your contact list is growing and you're using all these different categories to divide different people into these different topics, it becomes really important to you that you actually are able to maintain that list. And so there's a whole suite of contact management related features inside MessageMagick that helps you manage that list effectively. But even more than that, if you look at Skype itself, one of the very important features inside Skype is the ability for you to make a backup of your contact list. And yes, Gregory, this particular session is being recorded. I don't normally record sessions, but today is being recorded because this is the last day that I'll be doing this particular training. I will touch on it again, of course, in the future, but this is the last. There's these 2 points that I want to make sure everybody's aware of, and so I want to record this session and make it available. Next week I'm going to focus on some other things. So one of the features that Skype provides to you is if you go, I don't know what version of Skype you're using. I'm using 3.8. You're probably using 5 point something, but I think it's in the same area. In 3.8, and I'm going to just start sharing my desktop here so you can see me doing things. And perhaps yours looks a little bit differently, and that's okay. We can talk about where it is on your particular version, either in this session or one-on-one, whatever. I'm kind of hoping that you can see my screen now. Sometimes it takes a little while because of bandwidth issues and whatever else for it to show up on your screen. And I'll just try and scroll down so I can see whether or not you can, if you're responding to questions, and I can see whether or not you can actually see what I'm trying to show you. So if you can give me a yes that you can see my screen, that would be helpful. I'd appreciate that. In Skype, and if you can actually see my screen, over on the right-hand side, the far right-hand side, what you can see is my Skype. As I said, I'm using version 3.8, and in Skype, one of the options that it gives me related to my contact list is if I go into Tools and then Advanced, the first option there is to back up my contacts to file. And that's a great feature, of course, for any piece of software like Skype to be able to provide. And what that's going to do, though, is it's going to create a single file which ends with the extension VCF, which is a contact card type file that many applications can use. And it'll back up all your contacts into that file. But here's the thing. What it will not do is it will not back up any of your categories or the people that are inside those categories. So picture this. You've got this contact list, and maybe it's 100, maybe it's 500, maybe it's 1,000, and you're spending all this time creating categories and placing people into the correct categories. And so you've got this whole relationship developed and built and in place. Well, what happens if something happens to your contact list where you have to restore it? Well, and I speak from personal experience because I went through this grief. I ended up one time with a corrupted contact database in Skype, and I did have to basically start over. And what'll happen, though, is even if you manage to get all your contacts back, which you should be able to because you've done your backup, and in fact they're stored on the Skype servers, but what I experienced was corruption on the Skype servers, so that wasn't really very helpful. But I did end up getting all or most of my contacts back, but what I didn't get back was all the categories that I had set up and all the people within those categories. So while it's really good to be able to, for Skype to be able to provide a way for us to do backups, it's not good that they didn't give us a way to back up our categories and then of course restore our categories. Well, that's where MessageMagick comes in. If you look at MessageMagick, and this is a feature that's available to everybody who uses MessageMagick, whether they be free members or paid members. And this is one of the reasons I think that this is a product that is suitable for every Skype user out there, because they don't even have to pay for it and they're going to get these features. The contact management related features are something that we offer for free. That's a way, by the way, a real good way, by the way, for you to be able to talk to somebody about MessageMagick should you choose to. because you can offer them a good service for free. If you look inside Message Magic and click on Tools and Advanced, very first option is similar to the Skype one, except I call it Save Skype Categories. And what that will do is it will save every category that you have and the people within that category. Okay, so not only will it back up all your contacts, it backs up the categories and the relationship of contacts inside of each of those categories. Okay, very critical stuff. And then if you want to, just for fun, you can go to the next option and say View Saved Categories to see what it looks like, to see how it's stored on our system if you've run the save option. And then God forbid you ever actually have to use it, but you could then use the third option, which is to restore the saved categories. And what that would do is go through that file, the backup file that was created, and look at the categories, check your Skype to see if the category is there, because if you've corrupted your Skype categories or your Skype contact list, chances are you've lost all your categories. It'll check to see if it's there. If it's not there, it'll create the category for you. So this way you see you can end up with all your same categories that you had before. And it'll also check each user inside that category to ensure that the person that is supposed to be in it is actually in it. And if it's not there, it'll add the person. Okay, so very simple stuff, but very powerful. And these, as I mentioned, are free features to everybody who uses Message Magic. And oh, by the way, I don't know what version of Message Magic you're using, and you can tell by looking up at the top of your Message Magic screen, and you can see mine here. Mine is, it says Message Magic version 2.5.5.0. Okay, so if you're running something less than 255, as I call it, then depending on what version it is that you're using, it could be as simple as, you see the first option here under Tools? It's check for updates. And what that'll do, and I'll click it here just to show you how it works. I click it, and you see now over on the right-hand side of Message Magic it says checking for updates. In my case, there's not going to be one, and so it gives the message you already have the latest version. If you don't have the latest version, then what's going to happen is it's going to download it to your computer and tell you that it'll start using that new version next time you restart Message Magic. Or conversely, you could click on that message and it'll give you the option of a couple options. One is to see what changes have taken place between the version you're using and the version that it wants to install. And the second option will be to allow you to do the upgrade right now, so you don't have to wait until the next restart. Okay, so if you want to start using that new version, you can right away. And so if you're not using version 255, I would encourage you to start using 255, especially if you're on one of the older versions like 2010, which was popular for a very long time. 2010, the difference between 2010 and 255 is huge, so including these automatic updates. You may not even have to click on Tools and check for updates, because the Message Magic software itself will actually check every 10 days. So when you run Message Magic, if it's time to check it again, it'll do it automatically for you, so you don't even have to bother checking for updates. Okay, so that's the first really big feature that I wanted to cover. Those are aimed at all the Skype users on the planet. We give them the ability to save all their Skype contacts and categories, to view them if they choose, and then to restore them if they have to. Okay, very important, powerful stuff. They also have some other contact management related features, like they can move contacts around from category to category, or delete contacts, or what have you. I mean, all the basic stuff that you need to do to manage your contacts a little more effectively than you've been doing so far. All of those things are free to everyone. Now I want to go on to a bit of a different topic. This is for the power user, and this is something that I guess this feature is something that I guess most people don't even know we can do. And so I'm going to start it by asking you, do you know what a Skype group is? a Skype chat room. Do you know what that is, folks? A chat room. Have you ever been sitting there at your computer and a little message pops up saying that you've got a chat happening, and you go click on it, and what you see, what you discover is that you are in a room full of people. And I'll show you what one looks like, just so you can see what it looks like on 3.8. Let me just check down here in my active chats to see if I have one. No. Okay, so I'm going to go into my chat section. I'm going to go into a bookmark chat. And so I'm going to find a nice little appropriate one. Oh, here's a free-for-all kind of thingy. I know that one has a lot of people in it. And I'm going to give this enough time so you can actually see it on your screen. So you can let me know if you can see it, please, so I can start addressing what we're looking at here in this room. Okay, can you see it? Did it pop up and you can see that now? Okay, great. What we see here is a normal-looking kind of window, a chat window for Skype 3.8. I know it looks different in the later versions of Skype, but here in the chat room, what you see on the left-hand side is everybody who's talking. Whatever they type in is going to go into that message. So there's a message from Simon, then a message from Bonnie, then a message from Barbara, then Stephen Thompson, and then Jenny, and Edwin, and so on. So everybody who's in the chat room has the ability to type in a message, and then everybody else who's in the same room can see that message. Then on the right-hand side, what we have are all of the people that are inside the room. So it's a list of attendees. That is a Skype chat room. Now, I don't know if you've ever been in one of those rooms, but they're actually pretty popular. And the more contacts you have, the more rooms you'll get pulled into. And now let me just stop there for a second. And let me just touch a bit on what message magic is used for a lot. One of the main features of message magic is that it's a Skype add-on tool that will help you grow your contact list. Okay, and so it provides search facilities for you to be able to go out and enter in some key phrases or terms and go out into Skype search for those terms, looking for matches. And so you could type in a whole bunch of different patterns or maybe a whole bunch of different first names. Tell it to go, and it'll go and find a whole bunch of people related to those terms that you had put in. We call those patterns. But why do we do that? We do that because what we want, the end result of what is we want a bigger contact list, and what we're hoping to find in doing those searches are active Skype users, and if we look at their profiles, what we're looking for are characteristics on their profile that suggest that they would be interested in networking with you. Okay, so we're targeting those people, and then we're sending them a contact request saying, hey, will you be my friend? Okay, and there's a bunch of different strategies and languages and words and all that kind of stuff that you can use to do that. But that's one of the main areas of message magic and one of the main functions. Okay, because what we want to do is grow our contact list, find the responsive ones, initiate some sort of relationship with them, and bam, we're off to the races in our business if we're playing our cards right. Okay, well, here's the thing. I'm sorry, if somebody can't hear me very well, what I would suggest is you turn up your speakers. I've got a volume control on my own, but I think it's more related to my speakers as opposed to my volume on the microphone, but you can tell me whether that's true or not. So off we are to the races. We're growing our contact list, okay? And we're doing that through the search side of Message Magic. Now, back to these rooms. What are these rooms? Well, the purpose of these rooms, mostly, I suppose, one of the most popular uses of these rooms are that people use them for training purposes, and so there's a collection of people in a particular business and they need to learn. Maybe they're mentoring for whatever business they're involved with, whatever company they're involved with, and that's a very fast, effective way to train everybody at the same time. Another very common use of these, it seems that somebody will decide, oh, I want to create a room and start promoting my business. And then, of course, everybody else in the room starts promoting their business because everybody thinks that they have the best business on the planet, right? And so that's what starts to happen, is you start to see links thrown all over the place. But that's fine. But who's in the room? Well, first of all, let me just tell you, when I first started getting into those rooms, I get called into the rooms all the time. My first reaction, though, it used to be I would get called into a room like that. I would see what people are talking about, and more often than not, they were just throwing links all over the place, and I would think to myself, well, I have no interest in this room. I'm out of here, and I leave the room. Okay, is that kind of similar to you guys? You get called into those rooms, and you think, oh, this is dumb, and you split. Well, here's the thing, and sometimes I would even tell the person that brought me into the room, hey, you didn't even invite me into the room, and you bring me into this? What's going on? Come on, don't do that again. Bad you. Well, here's the thing. What are we using Message Magic for? We're looking for people who are active Skype users who are interested in networking with us, right, in particular. Well, look at the room again. Who's in the room? They are active Skype people who are also active networkers. Okay? So that's who's in the room. Isn't that who we're looking for? So what I would suggest to you is that these rooms have far more value than you may have previously thought. Now, why does that relate to Message Magic? It relates to Message Magic because of some features that Message Magic has. You saw me go into my Skype, right? The chats, and then the bookmark chats, and then I scrolled down and I found this one, which was Hope for Publicity Free for All Chat Room. Let's see if I can find that again. Here it is, on that list of bookmark chats. And so when I click on it, it brings it up into my Skype, and now I can look at it. Well, if I want to, I can look at each of these people, and if they're a contact of mine, you can see here that they've got green and a check mark, or green and a little clock, which means they're away. Or if I scroll down this list, I'll eventually end up seeing some people that are gray and they have an X in them. That means they're offline. Or they're gray and a question mark in them. That means they're not a contact of mine. Okay? And so on down the list. It's very easy to tell when you're using Skype 3.8. Now, how does that relate to Message Magic? Well, let me show you something in Message Magic. If I go back to Message Magic now, and I right-click on this big gray window on the right-hand side, one of the options is to load from Bookmark Chats. So I'm going to click on that. And it's going to take a minute because my Skype is pretty busy. I have a lot of contacts and a lot going on, lots of different rooms and so on. But speed doesn't really matter to me. What matters to me is results. I don't care if it takes 5 minutes or, as opposed to 5 seconds. It just doesn't really matter to me. I'm always interested in the result, the end result. So it's going to take a minute, and it's what's happening here is Message Magic is communicating with Skype, saying, "Show me the bookmark chats." Okay, so as you can see by now, I think it's popped up on your screen as well, that a little window has popped up, and it's given me a list of my bookmark chats. And so if I scroll down that list, and I'm looking for this very same chat room. There it is. Hope for Publicity Free for All Chat Room. You see how that matches the title that's in the top of that chat room window that I pulled up in my Skype? Okay, now according to this, and you look at the end of it, it's got brackets and the number 124. That means there's 124 people in that room. So in Message Magic, I put a check mark beside it and I click OK. Any guesses as to what's going to happen there? What it's going to do? Okay, well, I'll tell you. It brings everybody that's in the room into Message Magic, into that user window. Now, why is that important? Well, if you take a look at that window, that user window, which I also call the profiling window, it brings everybody in there one after the other, and now I can use this scroll bar and I can scroll to the right, and so the very far left, it's their username, then their display name, then their status to me, deleted from my friend list, they're a pending friend, or they're a friend, and so on. It tells me their online status. They will appear offline if they are not a friend of mine. If a person is not an established contact, you cannot see their online status. Next is how many contacts they have. But be aware, though, that that's an option that they have. Whether or not you can see how many contacts they have, that's something that's set on each individual Skype profile. It tells us their gender, and if it's unknown, it could be because they're not on your contact list. It could be because they didn't set it on their profile. What language they speak, what country they're in, province, city, when they were last seen online. You'll see that a lot have the same date, and that's because there's a default date involved there. So if it's never been set, or if they're not a friend and you can't see their status, it'll be that default date. The same is for their birthday. Sometimes you can see their birthday, sometimes you can't. If they have not set their birthday on their profile, then it'll be the default value, which is January 1st, 1900. Makes them pretty old, eh? The next thing is whether or not they're voicemail capable. That's a future feature for Message Magic. Then their home page, mood text, and about me text. So you can see quite a bit about them. All of them, all at the same time in this little format, kind of similar to an Excel sheet. Now, if I wanted to, what I could do is I could just use the right-click option over top that user window, and I could say, well, select them all. Right? Then if I wanted to, I could type in a message saying, hello, add me to your contacts. I would never say that, of course, but this is just a point about what you could do. And then if you right-click over top the message text window, there's an option, Add to Contacts. And what that would do it would go and it would send that message to every one of those people and add every one of those people to your contact list, all at the same time. Okay, so rather than doing it one at a time, it's going to do all of them at the same time. Very important stuff. And of course, as they're being added to your Skype, what's going to happen, and I'll scroll down in my Skype window to show you. It's going to add them all to the same category. You see, I'm going to highlight it here in my Skype. This one here where it says the small letter Z, or Z if you're in America, added today. That's a list of what happens is when you add contacts, they always get added into that particular category. So you can see very quickly who it is that you've added today. And if you want, you can later on rename that category to be something else. You can see a couple above that, or the next two above that. One was added group chats, and the other was added 110830. You can see on the 30th of August that I added 7,300 contacts using this type of strategy. That was a very busy day. My Skype was, smoke was coming out of the ears of my Skype that day, that's for sure. The next one down is the ones that I added from group chats. Well, if I scroll down that particular list, who's in that category, you can start to appreciate how many people from those rooms added me back. They accepted my request for friendship, and they want to start communicating with me. Okay, so I'm going to keep on scrolling until the list of people that are green stop. And where is that? That's about halfway down, right? So out of the 2,560 people that I added, about half of them added me back. They accepted my contact request. That is an incredibly good ratio, response ratio. Try doing that when you're searching for people and you're adding new contacts. Well, a good response is not going to be 50%. I wish it were, but it's not. Keep in mind, the people in these rooms, they're active Skype users who are also active networkers. Perfect candidates to contact and start relationshiping with. Okay, now, where was I going with this? Back to the feature that what I was suggesting is something that every networker should know about. And I set the stage by talking about those bookmark chats. If you look inside Message Magic, one of the options is Tools, Advanced, and second to last is Bookmark All Group Chats. So let me tell you what that feature will do. It is going to look at your Skype history, all of your Skype chat history, and it is going to check every message one by one, looking to see if it is part of a group session, a group chat session that you're in or were in. You don't have to be in it right now, but you were at some point in your history. And if it is a group chat, then it's going to bookmark it. So even though you didn't bookmark it at the time, this process is going to bookmark it for you. Okay, now, a couple things to keep in mind about that. Most importantly is, since it's going to be going through your entire Skype chat history, which is probably quite big, then what that means is it's going to take some time to actually go do that. So it's the type of feature that you want to use maybe before you go to bed or before you're going to have dinner or something, because it's going to run for a while. It's going to run for anywhere from a few minutes to, a couple hours, depending on how big your contact or how big your chat history is. But that's okay. No worries. Just do it, right? Just go and get all those chats bookmarked. And if you want to, the next step is you can view those bookmark chats, and that'll bring up a file that contains all of the bookmark chat rooms, who created it, what the room name is, and all the participants inside the room. Okay, so you can do that if you want to. Now, then once you've bookmarked them, of course, you can use that feature inside Message Magic to right-click on the user window and load from bookmark chats. Now, I've only been showing you the right-click options. Keep in mind that the right-click options are only the most popular options that we use. They're not all of the options that are available inside Message Magic. All of the options are covered inside the menu system up here in the top. If you look at Activities, the Activities area, menu area, is broken into 3 subsets. The first one is, we need to go and retrieve users from somewhere. So we're going to load from contacts, or we're going to load from active chats, or we're going to load from bookmark chats. We're going to load from saved profiles, which is another very, very powerful part of Message Magic, which I'll be going into more detail next week. I won't be dealing with that today. Or if we've got a list of users we can load that's in a file somewhere, a CSV file, we can load from that. Or if we want to do an SMS type broadcast, we can load the numbers that we're going to broadcast to. So that's the retrieving users section. Once we have some users inside the users window, the next step is to select them. So we can select all of them, we can unselect them, we can select only the online ones, or if we want to get more targeted selections, then we use the last option, which is more selection options. And what that'll do is pop open this little window where we can further reduce the selection by saying, oh, we only want our friends, or we only want the women, or we only want the people whose birthday is today, and so on and so forth. I talk about those at another time, and it's also available in the help section. So everything related to Message Magic, all the features that are inside of Message Magic, you can find it inside the help section. So if you click on help, the very first option is help, and if you click on that, and I will just so you can see it, it will open a window that contains every feature inside Message Magic. Okay, so all the information is there. It just takes a little bit of investigation and some reading and some playing around with the software and stuff, and you can find it for sure. And come to these sessions. Today's a little bit unique because I wanted to focus on some of the advanced features that I think are really critical for everyone to know. Next week I'll go over some more basic stuff. Then once we've selected the people that we want, then we have to pick some sort of action that we want to do with those people. So maybe we're adding them to our contact list. Maybe they're already on our contact list and we want to send them a message, or all of them a message. Maybe we're doing contact management related stuff and we want to start moving people from category to category. So all the people we selected, we can add them to a particular category, or we can remove them from a particular category, or delete them from Skype altogether. Maybe we've added a whole bunch of people as contacts. It's a month later and they're not responding, so we want to just delete them completely from our Skype. We can do that. Or we can add them to our profiles database, and I'll be touching more on that next week as well. That's very important part of one of the most powerful parts of Message Magic actually is that profiles database that we can build. Or we can just save their usernames to a CSV file, or we can send them a message. Okay, but so remember, everything is available up here in the menu system. The settings area, go over those, the tools area, and so on. But here, more often than not, I'm just using the right click. And loading from a particular area and then selecting them and then typing in a message, or and in fact I'll do that because there is a type of message that I like to make sure that I send pretty regular. Here I brought upload from contacts, and so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put a check mark beside select all, and then another check mark beside birthday. And so what that combination is going to do is it's going to go through my entire Skype contact database and pick the people whose birthday is today. Okay, so that's going to take a little while, but it'll go off and do that. Carlos, yeah, today's session is being recorded, so I'll make that available as soon as I can. And as I mentioned, I've got, I've got about 33 or 3,400 active contacts and another 9,000 or so pending contacts on my contact list. So when I do a selection like this, or a retrieval like this rather, it takes a little while for all of that to happen. Right? Message Magic has to communicate with Skype, and the contacts are actually stored on the Skype server, and so there's a lot of back and forth communication that happens, so it takes a little bit of time when your contact list gets quite big especially. But as I mentioned before, I don't really care how long something takes. As long as it actually works, that's what's important to me. So what it did is it went into my Skype list, my Skype database, my contact list, and it found 12 people whose birthday is today. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to select all of them, and this is a message that I feel comfortable sending to people whether they are an established contact or not. Now I right click over top the message text area, and I'm going to tell it to load message from file. Okay, Carlos, take care. And then I'm going to go into my templates area where I save my messages. I'm going to pull the birthday message. Remember, I'm pulling people from my contact list whose birthday is today. And I'm going to load the birthday message. I'm also going to click the auto translate because chances are pretty high that these people are not all speaking English. I've got someone here who's Hungarian, another German, Russian. The rest are English. So a good cross-section of people. Well, when I send a birthday greeting, then what I want to do is make sure that they get it in their own language. People really respect the fact that you take the time to craft a message and give it to them in their own language. Okay. Oh, you can't see my screen? Has that vanished? Oh, here. Okay, I just noticed. For some reason, the screen sharing turned itself off. Okay. So now you can see the screen, I think. Anybody that has to go, yeah, you feel free to go anytime you want. And as I mentioned earlier, I am recording this session. The good, the bad, and the ugly. You know, sometimes the screen sharing stops, and I don't even notice that it stops. I hope you can see it now. You can see that I found 12 contacts that have a birthday today. And so I selected all of them by right-clicking over top the user window. Okay, you can see that, I hope. And then in the message text area, I did a right-click, and then I took the first option, which is load message from file, which is my standard birthday greeting. And just so that you know, I just say happy birthday to them, really. That's all I do. But I give them a good birthday greeting. I say, my wish for you is all your wishes come true. And as a tangible birthday gift, I offer you and a friend of your choice unrestricted free use of Message Magic for 1 month. And if you're a paying member in Message Magic, you can offer the same thing. Okay, so then I right-click again, and I click the option that says, oh, before I do that though, let me just go click on the history in my Message Magic so you can start to see what happens here. Keep an eye on this history part over here in Skype. So when I right-click on the message part and I say send message to users, here on the bottom left of Message Magic it says sending message to selected users, which is everybody. And now you can start seeing them on the right-hand side. They're showing up in my Skype history. And you'll also notice that when we encounter one that is of a different language, you'll see the message, at least the beginning part of it in the history, show up in their language. And I'll go and open one of those chats so you can see it as well. But one at a time, it just goes through them. You know, happy birthday, happy birthday, happy birthday to everybody. Okay, so in Message Magic, I hope you can see the screen again. In Message Magic, it's gone off, and it has sent all the messages to all those people. And in my history, I can just go bring one up so you can see it. How about Suzanne? I'll start a chat with Suzanne. Continue. Oh, I picked the wrong person. That's not Suzanne. There's Suzanne. Start. There's Suzanne. Everybody can see. I'm going to drag it more to the center. Okay, everybody can see here Suzanne and the message that was sent out. You can see some of the words were changed to be the emoticons. So we've got the dancing symbol, the birthday cake with candles on it, some music, a martini glass, and a flower. It's all part of what I consider to be a good message to send. But, you know, different strokes for different folks, of course. Your birthday greeting might be something different than mine, and whatever, all the power to you. Okay, so that's one of the things that we can do with Message Magic as well. Okay, very, very powerful stuff. Now we're getting up to everything that I wanted to make sure that we covered here. I just want to make one final point though. When we are talking to people about Message Magic, especially if you're talking to like a networker who you know is interested in growing their contact list, and you start talking to them about the ability to go and retrieve all the people from the chat rooms that they've ever been in, be sure to point out to them that this is something that they can do very first day that they're using Message Magic. So this is within the 10-day free trial period. So in other words, what they can do, they sign up with you to prove to themselves that they can do what you say that they can do, and so get very familiar with this little process so that you could show it to them themselves. They can install Message Magic, connect it to Skype, back up their contacts, of course, because they should be using that feature anyway at a bare bones minimum, and they can use that for free forever. But secondly, they should go and they should bookmark all their group chats from their Skype history. And then they can use the load from history, or load bookmark chats, load them all into the users window, add them as contacts. Right? You can teach them a good message to use, or they can craft one of their own. If they're a good networker, they already know what message they can say. You can do all the rooms at once, or you can focus on one room at a time so that you can mention the room name in the discussion, in the message that you send to them. Hey, I see that we are in chat X together. That type of thing. Okay, so are we clear about that? They can back up their contacts. They can go into all the Skype chat rooms that they've ever been in, find them all, get them bookmarked. They can load those bookmarked chats. They can bring all those people into this user window. They can type an intro message. They can use the auto-translate if they want to. I always do. They can right-click, add everybody as contacts. All those people are going to be added into a contact category called the Added Today. This one on my Skype on the far right-hand side, if you can see it. Okay, very important stuff. Because that, my friends, is a way for them to use Message Magic on day one and get huge value from using the product. What's going to end up happening is they will stick with Message Magic and they're going to end up paying for it. And I'll tell you why. Because if you go and you load the contacts that are in one of those bookmarked rooms, do you know who it's going to load? It's going to load the contacts that are in the room right now. It's not going to go load the contacts that were in the room when you were in the room. It's going to go load the contacts that are in the room right now. And what that means is that a week from now, chances are very good that the people that are in the room are going to be different, because people get added and people leave all the time from these rooms. And so a week from now, there's going to be new people for them to contact. And a week after that, there's going to be new people in that room. Or chances are, if it's an active room, for sure, that's what's going to happen. And so you begin to see the value of keeping the ability to use that feature long term. And that is not a free feature. That's a paid feature. They get to use the 10-day free trial so they can, go to town and find all these contacts initially. But believe me, if a person is serious about their networking career, they know the importance of finding active networking buyers, because that's who's in the room. They're also active Skype users, and we're using a Skype tool. Right? We find this very fast and convenient. So those rooms are full of active Skype users who are also active networking buyers. They are active in the networking field, or chances are very high that they are. A lot higher than any other way of searching for Skype users. That's for sure. Now let me take a look here to see some questions that may have come up that you want me to address, okay? How do we offer a free version of Message Magic? All they have to do is register with you, and they automatically get a 10-day free trial, so they have the full version for 10 days, and at the expiry of that 10 days, it converts into a free version. Okay, and it's free for as long as they want. Yeah, people use Message Magic all the time, and not pay attention whatsoever to the affiliate program that's attached to Message Magic. And as a matter of fact, there is a way to use the paid version of Message Magic for your entire life, and not the comp plan at all. One of the options, Peggy, to use Message Magic, one of the payment options, is to buy a permanent license for a grand total of a one-time payment of $47.95. And what that gives a person is the ability to use Message Magic forever. All the upgrades for the first year. After that, then it will be 25% of whatever the permanent license cost if they want to get another year's worth of upgrades. And with that, they get the entire use of the software, but not participation in the compensation plan. Okay, so that's a very good question, and one that's been brought up many times over the years. I don't know if you knew it or not, but Message Magic is just past its 3rd anniversary. And so I'm kind of patting myself on the back, you see, because I don't know how much you're aware of statistics in the industry, but here's the truth, here's the reality. Of all the businesses that you see on the internet, 90% of them will not last past 12 months. 90%. That's not a statistic that I'm inventing. That's just the reality. That's a well-known stat in the industry. Now, of the remaining 10%, 90% of those will not last to 36 months. And so if you do the math, what you'll see is 1% of businesses last past 3 years, past 36 months. Well, guess what? We are older than 3 years. So I give myself a pat on the back, but I shouldn't, I suppose. I give myself a pat on the back not because I'm some fantastic astute businessman, because I don't consider myself to be that, but what I do have is a very good product. Okay? And that's why the business has lasted as long as it has, and that's why it's going to continue to last. In answer to your question, Peggy, yes, it is compliant with Skype policies. As a matter of fact, when I first launched in 2008, the Skype lawyers came banging on my door to talk about the name of the product, which was not called Message Magic at the time. And they also did a review of my business and what it was that the features of the product would do. And they gave me an indication as to what would make them happy about me being compliant with their business model. And so I implemented what they suggested. I will not tell you or anyone else in this room what the change was that I did, because since I came out in 2008, half a dozen other competing products have come out, none of which are compliant with Skype, and so I'm not going to share what it was that I needed to do. They're just going to have to figure that out on their own. Yes, that's right. My product was called Skype Assist when I first launched in the year 2008. Okay, we're now reaching 1 hour in length, and so I want to wrap it up. I find that these training sessions are best kept to a relatively short period of time, certainly not more than 1 hour. And so I want to encourage you, though, to come to the training next week, which will be Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday at 1 o'clock Eastern. Armed with your questions, I would love to address all your questions, and certainly the more basic features and functions of Message Magic. And next week I'm going to target on searching and how to target from your searches. So rather than just a broadcast of, say, all the Freds in the world, that's fine, that's great. But how do you take that list of Freds and narrow it down to something more meaningful, like more targeted. Like you're looking for people who are networkers, right? I mean, you're looking for, ideally, active network buyers, right? That's the mindset that we want. Rather than trying to convince someone that that's what they ought to do, it's much easier and probably way more productive to find people who are already in that mindset and go from there. Okay, so I'm going to wrap it up for today. I hope that you found some good, useful information from today's session. Again, come next week and we'll cover more details that I'm sure you'll find very useful. Thank you very much for taking time out of your very busy schedule and coming to today's session.